Hello, everybody, and thank you, or welcome to the Besotted Brain, where we like to talk about how businesses like to use personality tests and then never actually follow through with them.
Guess who's in the house?
Yeah, DJ,
We were gone so long.
DJOC.
DJOC is like, screw you guys.
I
Yay
know.
for your live! Congratulations.
Yep,
About freaking time. Sorry,
and we're
Chris.
all finally back. I
Ugh.
love it. And Grace, I was just watching your face, and I just love to. I love that you're back with us. It's been a while.
It has. It's been far too long. I think it's been crazy for everybody, but like for me on the road out of town, crazy. But
Yeah,
we're back, and I'm so happy to see y'all's faces.
Very happy to see you.
we're happy to see you too.
Orange Cat's very happy that we're podcasting because he gets attention.
Oh, bye, Sam.
I don't even know what he pushed.
He's just like,
Orange
yeah,
Cat.
screw you guys. Sam's mine tonight.
He's like, where's my attention? Orange Cat, you have an audience, buddy.
All right. So, welcome to another live episode of Besotted Brain, one of our Besotted Brain breaks. We're actually going to be talking about personality tests today. If you guys have been hearing us talk about INTJs, ENFPs, INST, whatever, you
Alphabet
probably
soup.
been yeah. I know you guys have been hearing that for a while, and you're probably wondering what the hell that is all about. So we're going to tell you a bit about it. But first, we drink. What do
We drink.
And
Oh,
what are
gosh.
we drinking?
What am I
let's see.
drinking? What are
Sure,
you
go
drinking?
for it.
Okay, so I was really salty about that teddy bear kisses
Oh,
s'mores.
yeah.
So I bought another s'mores one, hoping it was gonna be better. So I'll let you all know, but it's from Energy City Brewing. It's called S'more Stout. It looks good.
Mm.
See how it goes.
I
I
like
think
it,
I've
yeah.
had where is Energy City? Illinois, never mind. For whatever reason I thought it was local-ish. I'm not right. So
Yeah, well. Yeah, I'm drinking Stump Knocker American Pale Ale from Swamphead Brewery, which
this is so much better than that garbage we had, Chris.
Yeah.
I feel bad giving you that shit earlier.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah,
This
you know,
is so good.
I also tried that what was it? It was a Sunday. Banana
Oh,
split.
I bought
one
another
that
one of those. It was good.
I did not like it.
Because I mean it's like a milkshake sour. So
Yeah,
if you
well-
don't like milkshake sours.
Yeah, it was red.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
No.
Some of them are green. I've had green ones before.
Oh, I had
That's
one
true.
that was green at a brewery in Texas, at San Antonio, actually, and it was Black Lab Brewery, and it was like a sour pickle and Kool-Aid drink, I think.
Oh.
Anyway, it was around it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was around St. Patrick's Day. It was pretty good. Like, not gonna lie, it was like a sour cherry beer, but it was definitely green. Very.
Do you remember the beer explosion one we had? I thought that one was going to be green because it was like ambrosia salad, but it just exploded and it was nothing.
I actually had a green one in Pennsylvania, Erie, Pennsylvania, from Voodoo Brewing, and it was called it was like Lacto Cooler. That's what it was. But it's basically like the Ecto Cooler from.
Oh yeah,
from, like,
I saw
High
that. I've
Yeah.
seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah.
That's
It was
cool.
actually really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, ladies, what are y'all drinking?
ladies other than Sam, who's
I was
super
like,
Other
what?
than
excited about her
What is
s'mores.
this? What is
You are
this?
not a
Other
lady.
ladies. Other
You are
ladies.
not a lady.
Not a lady.
I am actually drinking a Simply Spiked lemonade. It is a blueberry flavor.
Oh, is it like the Simply Lemonade, but like
Yeah, it's a
Whoa.
Simply lemonade, but it has alcohol and a lot more calories. So it's like it's not the ones like the Trulies that are like 90 calories. No. After the couple weeks I've had, I deserve all the sugar and all the drinks. So that's what I'm having.
cheers.
Yeah.
I had to push my riding lawnmower up the hillside and into the garage because I flooded the engine and there was lightning outside
Oh,
prior to this
no.
podcast. So when I was like, things got a little crazy, that was what I meant. I was like, I'm sweaty, like I'm red and I'm sweaty because I had to. So I deserve this.
You
Yeah.
totally deserve that.
We're going to
For
go with
sure.
that. But Chris and Sam, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but in my travels, I have been logging into the Untapped app.
I did not
Nice.
see. We are
Yeah.
bad, Chris. We need
I
to
know.
do-
I've been slacking on it. I'm so sorry.
So I've thought about you guys. Like I went to 2 breweries when I went on like my little mini vacation in DeLand, and they have 4 of them in the downtown area of DeLand, all within walking distance. So all I'm
Mhm.
saying is if I buy a house in DeLand, Florida,
You'll have some
then-
breweries chilling there.
then there's breweries downtown.
I think
which is
I've Yeah, I think I've been to a few of them, and Deland's actually pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. They had. Did you get to check out the place I sent, or I was, or even think about it? The Atomic Drinkware.
I did not have an opportunity. I got sidetracked a lot by the Architectural Salvage Center, where it was like super cool transoms and doorposts, and I was like, my kid was like, "Can we go?" and I'm like, "Ooh, but look at this crown molding," and he's like, "I hate it here." But so I went there, and then when I had to take the trip home, I went to the brewery that is owned by a friend of mine who is one of my favorite ER physicians. And then he and his son-in-law and daughter just were like, you know what, we're going to do brew beer. So they have Weathered Ground Brewery in West Virginia. And I checked in there, and I did it specifically so you guys could see like cool beers that I had on my travels. So yeah, I thought about it. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I thought about you guys. And Stacy, I went to a coffee shop and thought about you. I'd never heard of a dirty chai.
Oh, yeah.
That?
A chai
Dirty
with a
chai.
shot of espresso.
Hmm.
Now we're
All
talking.
right.
They make a bunch of different kinds of chai. I dig it.
So the dirty chai is the chai with a shot of espresso, and so you get like double the caffeine and all the spice. It was pretty awesome. Thought about you but there is no app for indie coffee shops.
I know there's not. There needs to be one. I might have to.
You need to
I
like
have to
hire
hire
an
someone
app.
for that.
I feel like we could do it.
Oh, I think we could. We need to create a coffee app,
Yeah, I think that's what your next in your spare time, in your free time
Spare
space.
time.
right?
Yeah.
What is that? Free time.
Do Chris, Stacy, do you guys want to talk about the good stuff that's been happening by any chance?
Well, I want to know what Stacy's drinking because
Yeah.
Let me get through this. Okay,
No.
so funny
No.
story about today. So like a couple hours ago, I'm like, I'm tired. I need coffee. My kid wanted coffee. So I made my coffee at like 4:00. It's almost gone already. But I didn't get to try a new one today. I'm doing the peppermint black and white mocha frap.
Sounds
So
great.
it's easy. It's got some coffee made in it. It's got chocolate syrup, white chocolate syrup. This is the only way I'll do white chocolate syrup. And then coffee and ice cubes. Simple. Mix it up.
All right.
Easy done. So it's a great shot of caffeine that I need because my day has been really long.
Mhm.
Okay. So positive things. Chris and I have new jobs.
Yes, we do. Finally, after being unemployed.
Yes.
we're a
which
very
has
brief
been awful.
period. Just
Very
a very
brief.
brief
Like,
period.
yeah, like
Yeah.
long enough to get a few apps in and be like, and then done. You guys
Yeah.
like kicked
It might have been a
ass.
brief period, but it felt like forever, at least for me. Like
Mm.
forever is what it felt like. And I know there's people
Yeah.
that are still struggling on that, job search. Hang in there. It'll get better. It's
And I
frustrating.
highly suggest trying remote jobs. There's a lot of entry level
Yes.
remote jobs nowadays, and I'm back in the remote business again, luckily, and it's awesome. I'm enjoying it.
I
started
am
this
so
week.
I'm so proud of both of you. Like I'm just so happy for both of you and like
Well, honestly, I would not have done as well if I hadn't like been with Sam and Stacy, both of y'all, this entire time, because we actually met every single morning to do what we call a stand up, where we meet and talk about our goals for the day. And Stacy provided me with an awesome sheet to keep track of all of my
that is the
hit-
tracker sheet of amazingness.
yeah,
Yeah.
the tracker sheet that kept track of all of my applications. And yeah, we did it a lot. It was awesome.
And we all have, a lot of experience on resumes now. Lots of skills we got during those couple of months.
Yeah, I because we haven't done stand up in like about a week because we're trying to we're going to, but we're readjusting.
Yes.
I have like my mornings are not as nice anymore. I miss you guys.
Yeah.
And Grace, you're at work.
I am. So I would love to do the stand up because I feel like I could learn a lot. And as much as I love my job, every once in a while, I'm like, God, I should really utilize like LinkedIn or, these things.
Yeah.
There are people out there that would pay me a lot more money because I am badass.
Yep.
But
Mhm.
that also takes effort. And I
Yeah.
just can't break away. Like I can't
Well,
consistently do anything anywhere ever for any reason. Like I can't commit to anything ever because this job wants me to die. But I love what I do.
Actually-
So
Actually,
I
no,
love what I
honestly, it
do.
might not take as much effort as you might think because with my job, I didn't even apply to the damn job.
That is true.
And a recruiter came out to me and was like, "Hey, you want this job?"
That's
You're
how
like,
awesome
I-
Chris
I
is. They
expect
came
you.
for him.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it's
why-
kind of like I can imagine like if it was like a real deal, it'd be like, "Hey, and it's just a guy in a trench coat, and he pulls it open. There's a bunch of applications in there.
No, there's
You want
raccoons
to get a
and
job?
applications and the raccoons. Trash pandas! Trash pandas!
Oh
love it.
man.
All right. So are we ready to talk about the big subject that we always talk about that we never explain ourselves on?
Right?
Yes.
Right? It's like
So
we're a jumble of letters and they mean nothing to anybody that's never done it. So here we are.
So, but like first, I kind of volunteered myself because I do know quite a bit about Myers-Briggs. It's actually, if for those of you that don't remember, how I met Grace was in a INTJ, which is a Myers-Briggs personality test group, and she kind of latched on and was. Well, I asked if anyone wanted to do a podcast, and here we are, like what, 8 months later.
Listen, so that was the craziest point in my life. Like everything in my universe was shifting massively. And I was like, God, I need something to do. And then Sam made this post and I'm like, I don't know. Like I know of you, but I don't know you. But let me hunt you down and be like, pick me. I want to do this. Me. I want to do it. I need an excuse because otherwise I'm just wasting hours researching random rabbit holes. But now when I do it, it's for the podcast. So it's for a purpose.
Right.
And I'm not just, assing off for half of my day because I got stuck on like crab sex or, whatever that it was that caught my attention. Eating mummies
and this week was my Instagram feed is like horrifying. Like Stacy gets all of them, I think.
Yeah, we have destroyed Sam's Instagram.
It is so bad. It is like the worst food things that could ever, the weirdest food things. Like we're going to have like a 2-minute like thing, weird shit that ends up in Sam's algorithm because
of all of us.
It's so
yeah,
bad.
so it'll be a recurring bit. Yes, I love this.
It can. I'll save them. I'll be like, look at this madness that ended up in my feed. So thanks, guys. But
the one you sent me this morning was really funny.
Which one?
The baby, or was that last night?
Oh, was it the cloud baby?
Yes,
that looked like a Teletubby.
So weird.
Listen, guys, I don't know how. I just don't know. I'll see if I can bring it up. But it's really not. Okay.
I remember that fucked up AI one with the Sesame Street.
I said, Chris, did I send that to you too, Stacey? Grace, yes. It was a Sesame Street, it was Cookie Monster and Elmo? AI generated, like horror, and it was awful. It was just so bad. Chris is trying to find it. He's like, you need to see this.
Not, I'll be honest with you. Like, out of everybody here, I'm the one with the least amount of time right now to look at anything. If it takes longer than 30 seconds, I'm out right now. Like I just don't have the bandwidth to do it.
To handle it.
I've been so quiet in group chats and I've been so because I had to take time off of work and I had to make this emergency trip home and then I had to come back and now I've been trying to catch up from work. That's why when you guys are like, we're recording, I'm like, I can do it today. Tomorrow would be better. I need to breathe for a second. But I'm here. So I've seen it and I will at some point go through all of the things that you sent, but just the clips, just the here's what it is. I was like, what is wrong with Sam? Not you, but
what's wrong with my algorithm?
There was also, a lot yesterday and I didn't get to watch all of those yet.
The bad thing is they're all in a row. So it's not like I get a funny one and then 9 normal ones. I get just a stream of really crazy ass shit.
You're welcome.
I feel like this is probably, I don't know if this is actually Elizabeth, but I find that funny. Definitely.
Yeah, well, we started watching Korean dramas under my account, and now I see nothing but Korean dramas.
I mess with Justin's all the time, so I regret nothing either.
The only one I'm really not okay with is YouTube. Sophia has totally messed up my YouTube. It's all Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm over it.
Oh.
My
kids have destroyed my YouTube feed. Just destroyed it.
See, I'm so glad I don't do any of that.
You keep it all separate?
No. Listen, I all my life I've never been able, the computer is not mine, the TV is not mine, the video game consoles never were mine. So I don't care. It's all Alex at this point, and it's just random as hell. Right now it's Roblox, all the Roblox, and then some educational things about learning about the rings of Saturn. So whatever.
That sounds like something I would do. That would be my actual feed and not the feed that you guys influence. So I guess getting back to the actual topic, I feel like that was so besotted brain of us right there.
Yes.
Tell us the things.
So the Myers-Briggs was created by both Isabella Briggs and everyone I think might know this person as a psychologist, but Carl Jung, They came up with this personality test. I think it was in the 1940s, 1950s that they came up with this. And it's pretty much a spectrum of 4 different components. But before I even get into that, I do want to run through some pros and cons of personality testing because I think that they should be at least approached. This test has seen different iterations over time. The actual values per se, the actual like results haven't changed, but the testing questions have changed. That said, their personality tests are using a variety of different things. Obviously, self-help is one of them. That's kind of how I stumbled upon it. But a lot of different companies will use it as part of their interview hiring process.
And then never refer back to it again.
Right. And they'll never tell you the results, or that, they'll just see if you're a fit in the company or not. And I think that's, for me, where most of the cons come from. I think that the lack of transparency with a personality test is kind of scary, especially when you're going for a job and you don't know. It just seems like a really weird measure of who a person is to determine if they're going to fit into a team or not. I get where they're going with it, but I could see how it could become an issue. Especially, they have found out that this particular test, the 16 personality test, the Myers-Briggs, does have a little bit of leaning. I kept cutting out. Sorry. It was weird. But it leans a little bit racist sometimes, because certain personalities will tend towards different cultures.
Right.
If you're more extrovert, you might be in a different culture than, other cultures. So like, I'm going to use this as a reference, but Japanese are typically more introvert. Not saying that Japanese people are introverts. So it kind of can almost lean a little bit towards racism if given too much credence.
So
now,
it's kind of culturally biased in a way.
It is a little culturally biased, for sure. For me personally, I think it's fine as a tool for self-reflection. For me personally, it's helped out because I feel like, and I want to say this anecdotally, I grew up, I felt really awkward as a female who was into all these science and tech and all these cool things, and it felt really awkward for me. So it was almost like finding a community that I always wish I had growing up.
So I'm kind of curious, when you actually did this test, were you kind of worried it might show up as error or something?
I don't know what I walked in thinking. It's always, and I've been an INTJ for a long time, so this hasn't changed. Every time I take it, I get the same stinking thing. And it's a spectrum, so each one of those 4 categories is a spectrum. So the scale will slide a little bit, but I'm an INTJ, and it's been like that for a hot minute.
Yeah, same.
And I think the first time I read it, I was like, there are people out there like me. Finally. And not saying that I'm this unique, amazing individual. It's just you feel awkward in your own skin. And it was just one of those moments where it's okay, there's a community of people that exist that are similar to me and have kind of the same thought process I do. So that was it was kind of cool for me. Grace, I don't know if you feel the same way, but that's kind of how I stumbled in it. And I felt good about finding that community.
Yeah, I mean, I stumbled into it accidentally. I don't even remember, again, another rabbit hole. I don't even remember the rabbit hole that I went down that led me to personality testing. And so I was like, all right, sure, why not? And so I take it and I'm like INTJ, and then I read it and I'm like, oh, that explains so much.
Yeah.
That explains so much. And that's fine. But in some ways, because it had, for a while, it had its moment that, you put your personality type on everything. There was this massive surge, and I was like, oh, cool. Now we've crossed into horoscope territory. Now it's instead of being I'm a Scorpio and it's a Scorpio thing. It's I'm an INTJ, and so obviously that's why I am the way I am. So
yeah, it's no longer what's your sign nowadays. It's what's your letters.
Yeah. And, if you think about it, Grace and I are both INTJs, but we are not the same. There are some things we're drastically different on. So there is a spectrum even within the 16 personality types. If you're the same, I still think there's a spectrum.
Yeah, I think it's more about the thought processes. And, when I don't know how deep you're going to get into it, but it's the function stacks and how each of those, works to push you forward or hold you back. And the last test that I took, because as part of a program with my job, one of the things they wanted us to do was take the 16 personalities test, take the MBTI, so that they could tailor our kind of like our supervisory experience to how we function as people, which was kind of cool.
That's pretty cool.
But I tested as an INFJ, and I was like, the what?
The most logical, like, feeler there is.
But I was
Stacey.
like, okay, but good for me for having developed that
FI, the FI,
that
yep.
FI to, be a little bit more of a well-rounded, because, I took it while at work. So I had to have that different mindset. And I was like, so that also changes it. How you go into it, where you take it can change potentially what it is that you're doing and how it is that you are skewing the test. Because I typically, I test plus or minus 3% INTJ, INTP. So depending on the day, I can be, I guess, fall on that last one. But that was the first time I've ever been a freaking feeler. And I was like, the what?
Right. My J and P are very, very, like, it is like 47%, like so close.
I'm plus minus 3%. So like I can fall in either one. But
right. And to give you guys a little bit of, 16, like the number 16 personality types, 16personalities.com. If you want to take the test, I think it only takes like less than about 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10, 20, depending on your reading speed.
Feels longer sometimes, though.
It does feel longer sometimes.
Yeah, taking those kinds of quizzes for me is just too much sometimes.
I can feel that. And the 4 spectrums that they kind of measure you on, the first one is pretty easy. It's introvert, extrovert. Where do you get your energy? Do you get it from being introverted, or do you get it from hanging around other people? And just for context, Grace, Stacey, and I are I's. We are introverts. Mm-hmm. And what Chris is a
extrovert.
He's an extrovert. So that's the first thing that's measured. The next thing that's measured is you'll see out on here it's represented as an N, but it's intuition versus sensing, or an S. Intuition is pattern-based thinking. It's metaphorical thinking. Grace, Chris, Stacey, and I are all N's. I think that's probably why we get along so well, because we probably talk in more metaphors than we're worth sometimes. And then the S is very concrete. So you're using your 5 senses. You're detail-oriented. So your S is you're taking all your sensory in, and you're processing it that way through your 5 senses. And then your third letter is either a thinker or a feeler. I think that's basically explanatory. Are you using your personal life as a crux, or are you using a lot of logic for the feeling or thinking? And then the last one is I always feel like this one's the tough one, because it's judging and perceiving, but it's not you're not judgy. It's just that it's the difference between, are you able to make decisions? Are you kind of more structured? That's your judging. Or you are a perceiver, or where you're a little bit more flexible. You're like you don't care so much about the structure. And in that case, Grace, Stacey, and I are J's. We like our structure to a degree. Sometimes we bucket. I know Grace and I sometimes bucket a little bit, but Grace probably a little bit more than me. And
it depends on where I am during the day. Like am I in a healthy state? Like sometimes, honestly, the more chaotic everything is externally, the more internally disciplined I am. So I lean far more towards that J than I do the P. But when everything else is running smoothly, I'm like, oh, forget about it. Let's just like embrace the chaos and let it roll until, everything else goes crazy again. But it's interesting how the function stacks work, and it like blends with how we interact with the humans. And that's really what it's about. Like, why do we, and how do we relate to each other?
Absolutely. And it's actually funny, because if you look, because we're all pattern oriented, Chris, you're probably the most laid back of us by far.
Yeah, probably.
And Stacey, I would say, is probably the most organized of us to it.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Have you seen that tracking sheet?
That tracking sheet was magic.
Yes, that tracking sheet had a lot. I added, like, that was like the work in progress sheet. Like, I kept adding things to it as I went.
I even added a few things too.
And so when Grace is saying function stacks, Myers-Briggs, they actually expanded it. So each personality type has a stack of 8 functions technically. The first 4 being the most important. And so we all have a leading function. I know Stacey, mine, and Grace's, because we're all the same, actually. We're NI, which is introverted intuition, which means that we process by basically looking at making connections around us, and getting our quietly observing and making connections, and that's how we kind of process our information. Chris, I don't know what your first function is. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah.
While we're here, but function stacks are kind of advanced. I guess Myers-Briggs. If you get into that, if you're getting into function stacks, you're like, definitely.
You've now gone into your birth charts.
Yeah, basically.
Where is your sun rising? What's your moon ascending?
Exactly.
Oh,
you have progressed to a different stage.
That actually reminds me of something interesting, and I'm not sure if you guys know. It's a fun fact about Japan. Yes, I'll drink.
Oh my God, I would say.
Wait, we all drink.
But
we all drink.
But apparently, in Japan, one of the things that they like to know about each other is their blood types. Because apparently blood types determine your personality over in Japan. At least that's what they believe.
Oh, damn.
And in fact, whenever you look at like some Japanese video games, some of them actually have their blood types listed. So you can be like, oh, he's A positive, so he's this, this, and this. Gotcha.
Interesting.
That is
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah.
Humans are so weird. Like we categorize anything. We love our labels.
We do love our labels.
Oh, they're
Chris,
negative. They run hot blooded.
Oh my God.
Stuff like that.
Chris, I did look you up. You are extroverted intuition. So you interact with the world around you to get all of your connections. So Grace, Stacy, and I are a little bit more passive about it, I think.
Yeah, I'm just like poking everything, and you guys are just watching me do it, just observing, be like, is that cool?
Yes. I'm wondering why
cool.
he's doing that. There's 5 different reasons why he might be doing that. Like, let me list them in order of probability. Unfortunately, that is literally how my brain works. I'm like, he might be doing this because...
Well, and I am definitely an introvert, and it's not that I can't be social. And I think that's one of the big misconceptions when we talk about like introvert, extrovert. Everybody's like, oh, introverts want to stay home and they don't want to go anywhere and they don't do anything. And I'm like, no, I'm very social. I'm just selectively social. And when my battery is drained, I don't want to talk to y'all.
Right.
I want to go home. I want to sit in my corner and like read a book and not have to deal with it for a while. So when I went home, I was in a very small space. With a bunch of extroverts, and I kind of wanted to die
because it's exhausting.
Because there's like a battery, right? Like once that battery's out, you're like, oh my God.
And they were and they were so excited. Like, they were so excited because everybody was together. The reason for being together was not great, but like everybody was together and they were so excited and they wanted to like talk and catch up. And there was like coffee and breakfast in the morning. And then there was like, let's all ride together and go do this. And I was like, oh my God. And it was rainy and it was cold. It was like 39 degrees. I couldn't even go for a walk in the woods by myself and get some damn quiet. So by the time I got in the car, I was like overstimulated to all hell. Social batteries were drained, which is another reason that I'm like, hi, I know you guys exist, but nah.
Hashtag selectively social.
That is so perfect. Yes. I'm like, I have to show this off. So true. And for me, it's like, if I have, this is the control. I swear this is I feel like Stacy, you're the same way as I am about this. If I need to know kind of what's going on. And then I'm fine. Like, yeah, but I need to know like what's happening. Like what is going on.
Okay,
or
so
I need to trust you. Like Grace, I was totally fine with you bringing me wherever. Because I trusted you to get us to where we needed to go.
But the interim of that is like you have to know. I hate surprises because I can't link the patterns and I can't figure out what the expectations are. Like I can handle anything. I just need to know what I need to handle. Exactly. And I need to know that there's a defined time frame, right? Like I have an out. So if I have to go to a social event, like I'm going to an event on the 20th and it's going to be lovely and I've kind of have to go. I can't like weasel my way out of it no matter how much I would like to. But I know that it's a defined time frame. So it's okay. So like even if my battery goes dead, I can be like, all right, I have 15 more minutes and then I can appropriately bounce and we are fine. So, when we talk about this, like I know that Sam, you've got it up and it talks about the different types and kind of what their archetypes are. We're supposed to be the masterminds, which is great, but there's a negative side of that, which is, sometimes rigidity and unwillingness to change and difficulty in considering other people's opinions
or emotions.
Right.
Like Thanos.
Seriously. I mean, this
not wrong.
Makes sense. It makes sense.
But couldn't he have also just made like double the resources?
No, because you have a finite amount of space.
And
what if you made infinite space?
it's the pragmatism over people. Sometimes it's like, okay, like there are people here with real emotions, and they're not just, you know what I mean. I have to remind myself I'm not a robot too. Like it's okay to have emotions; it'll be fine.
You know what? I will say this though, like Sam, I am exactly the way you stated. Like I need to know like what's going on at this thing, but I also need to know who's going to be there because there are those people that just exhaust you so fast because they're maybe the opposite of you or they just have that one trait that just rubs you the wrong way. So like sometimes you have to mentally prepare yourself to be near certain people. So I
Chris, do
always
you have
ask
this
that question
problem at
like
all?
who's going to be there?
Not really. I mean, I know for you guys, like you said, it's just like a limited battery, and for me, it's just like natural, you know. So
Well, the
I
the
kind of
more
get that.
the more you're around people, like you get your recharge from having that external input, from having people that kind of like people recharge you, that socialization recharges you. For me, I'm
Mhm.
like, I can only do this for so long, and then I gotta go. I
Mhm.
gotta go, even when I'm enjoying it. Like when Sam came down, like it was so much fun. Really loved it. I had a freaking blast, but it was an all day event, and I was like, okay, cool, because I know that on Sunday I'm gonna have an entire evening to just not.
And you know
And
what the
I
nice thing is about having INT, like people who understand, is like Grace knew. I'm like I left. I don't think I did anything that day on Sunday because I was probably like extroverted for a while, and now I'm gonna go not talk to anybody for like 48 hours.
Yeah, I
There
mean,
you go.
and it's a relief because I mean, like I said, not all of this, and everybody is different, and we've talked about like how language is important, right? Like Sam loves language, I love language. We like to be able to like discuss and find where things fit because for me, that's a piece of that pattern recognition. I need to know who you are and how you function. It's not that I'm not adaptable; it's that I need to know what I need to adapt to in order to
Correct.
be okay. So I like this because it kind of gives me a heads up. I'm like, okay, what's your personality type? Like, I'm pretty sure my mom is an ESFP. Like, I am 90% certain that that's who she is, which is literally the polar opposite of who I am. And that explains a lot. But since discovering this, I was like, okay, this is who she is and this is how she functions. And yeah, it seems completely like an alien hellscape to me. But
At least I
it's
know how it's happening. Like, and I can deal with that. Like, because I know.
right. Like, so just I got asked to go to a team building exercise with my job
Ooh,
and with a bunch
yay.
of fucking extroverts. And I fortunately
Chris laughing in the
I
corner.
fortunately got
Uh,
tied up with some things that I couldn't get away from. So I couldn't go to this team building event. And I was getting calls like, where are you? Where are you? And you should be here. I'm like, look, I'm dealing with something that is very significant. We're probably going to have to be in the judicial system, blah, 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 whatever. And they were like, but you're in leadership. And I'm like,
You'll be
mhm.
okay without me. It'll be fine.
Yes, I am. This also sounds like my own personal version of hell to be like kumbaya and let me like do trust falls and we're going to do learning exercises. I would rather stick an ice pick in my eye than do icebreakers.
I bet the worst
Yes.
icebreaker for you would be like that human knot one where everybody just puts their hands in the middle and grabs someone else's hand.
What?
What?
This is what?
You never heard that before?
Y'all
What?
have never.
Why are you
Oh,
touching me?
Yeah.
That's
So,
exactly what I thought.
exactly.
It was like,
So,
why
yeah.
am no?
Yeah, you just
There
put
is
your hands
no
in,
touching
grab someone else's hand,
icebreakers.
and
No.
then
then you have to untangle yourselves.
exactly.
Oh hell
Mhm.
no!
Sam, we did
Absolutely
this.
not.
I swear we did this in band camp.
We probably did, but I probably knew everybody, so it was okay.
No.
Yeah, you
Even
didn't know
at that.
me.
Like
It's
I'm
okay
We're
not
not
because
a
it's
friends.
band. Like band kids are like weird, so it's
Yeah,
fine.
true.
Like
It's
I'm
I'm with
okay
my
with this.
people.
I am with my people. Like that. Those
Yeah.
are the weird people in the world. It's fine. It's good. And I hope former band people are listening right now. I know
Yeah, that'd be
Elizabeth
great.
is, so she
I
knows.
think for me, like the feeling part is what drains me so much, is because when you're the feeler person, you get those vibes off everybody. You can kind of tell. I could tell when someone walks in a room that I know if they're off. If something's not right, they're upset, they're whatever. Um, and that energy affects you. So if you're in a room full of people and like let's just say like you're at a family thing and you got those negative relatives, like that affects you in a really bad way because you pick up on that vibe and you feel it and it can affect how you feel. So like those stressful moments where there's a lot of people in the room, lots of feelings, I just need to go home and be in quiet. Like I might
Yeah.
even like when I'm driving home, like turn the radio off and just silence
Hmm.
because it really does bother you after a while.
I think the difference between Stacy, Grace, and I, like Chris, you're pretty good with the feeling too. Like you're a feeler as well. Obviously
Are
Grace
you
and I.
kidding? I
Chris
cried
is you're so sensitive. You have such a great heart. You have such a kind heart.
when
He's like a
Mike.
golden retriever.
That is so true. That is so true.
I
Like
would
you
love
just
that
love
to be
him.
my
Like he's
dog
just
type.
like snuggly and like kind, and he just wants to make people around him happy. It's not a bad
Yeah.
thing. But
No,
I mean, you
we
are.
need people like you.
You're like a golden
Well-
retriever, and I'm like a
well-
Doberman. Like, do your job and get out of my way.
I gotta say though, when my child was born, my wife who was giving birth did not cry at all, and I cried the entire time.
That sounds
So-
exactly right. That's so
Yeah.
funny. She's a thinker though. That makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Elizabeth is an ISTJ. And I
She was
feel that.
probably like, "How much longer until this is done?" And he's like, "It's so beautiful."
Actually, it's more like, I'm so sorry you're going through all this pain.
No, but for like with Stacy, I can like I feel like I'm a highly sensitive person. I can pretty much read a room pretty well, and I can read kind of what like is going on. I think this is just hyper awareness because I wasn't so great at it, and now I've just like overcompensated, developed that FI grace, the introverted feeling.
No, it's called ADHD and trauma bonding.
There we go. Whatever we want to whatever we want to call it.
Fair.
But the difference between Stacy and I is that I'm like, F that, I want nothing to do with this. Like, get me out of here. I want to go like deal with systems, and I want to build crap, and and Stacy's like, I want to make it better. And I'm like, ah.
I know. I want to fix the world, and that's exhausting.
And I'm like, no, I want to fix if the problem can be solved, I want to lend the hand to get it done, but like I want nothing to do with the feeling part. I'm like,
Yeah.
No,
I'll
I
just
want
be
to
over
think
here
the
and be like-
problem through and hand it to somebody else who has feelings to fix it. Like you work it out. Like I'm going to tell you what's wrong. And I'm going to tell you the root of it, and then you figure out how to make it work for the masses. Because
Right.
I cannot.
I want to deal with all those people who are going to have all the feelings, and we'd be like, we don't know what to do with you.
So I think for the most part we can say that this kind of test is probably best for introspective kind of things, or even just like social groups, like how Sam and Grace met, which I think is freaking awesome, actually.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was a relief because like when you look
Yes.
at the percentages, like INTJs are pretty rare as far as like the percentages. And I don't know how much of that is, just how we're socialized as people, to be more extroverted because pack bonding is easier when you're extroverted. But introverts are important too, the ones that are, willing and able to work behind the scenes. So, but as far as percentages go, that's already a low percentage. And then for women, it's even lower because we are by nature taught to be the extroverted, the social planners, the feelers, the carers, the nurturers. I am none of those. Like it is a stretch for me. I love my child more than anything else in the entire world. But some days I just want to know when the logic kicks in. And from my personal experience, this does not happen until our mid to late 20s. At that point, like I'll be able to get it. But sometimes I just look at it and I'm like, the hell? What are we doing? And why?
Like, when does the reasoning skills kick in? Because that's what
Yeah.
I'm here for this. This is why I don't like little kids. Like, little kids are rough. Except for, listen, I will say I love Evie. Evie is like my favorite baby of all time. She's so cool. She's like the logical child. I don't even know. She's only like one.
God, she's grown so much too.
We
Like
see
you
eye to eye.
understand so much.
But this is why I like teenagers, because like at least we have some rationality happening at this point. We can work through things. It's a little easier for me.
Yeah, see, I struggle with the teens because I feel like all the logic goes out the window in favor of hormones, and like they're so in
That
love
is
for the first
entirely
time in their
true.
life, and they're
Mhm.
experiencing all these things, and you as a parent are an idiot or an adult in general. We're all stupid, and I'm just like, all right, call me in 10 years, and we got this.
Well, and
But-
everything is world altering. Like everything shatters
Mhm.
their world.
But it
Yeah.
is, and
Mhm.
It
and
is.
it
Because
is.
they've only lived for 15 years,
Well,
I'm
I
okay
can
with it.
remember, like, I remember being 13 and being like this outlier in my family group, right? The extroverts and the ESs and my mom's a huge feeler, baby brother's a feeler, and I'm none of these things. And I remember being 13 and like everybody being like, oh, I'm heartbroken over some stupid boy, I'm sure, and ready to curl in a ball and die, or the zit on my chin that I had to go to school with, and
Mhm.
being
course.
mercilessly bullied by the cheerleading squad, whatever it was. And I remember my family just being dismissive, but not in a really ugly way, just in a, oh my God, you think this is a problem. This is so exhausting that you think this is a problem. And I remember thinking to myself, but it is. because I've never dealt with this before, and it's so huge. It's so huge to me. So I try to remind myself that, like, when my kid is going through this meltdown stage, like, y'all, I got a letter last night detailing why I'm a mean mother. It is handwritten. He folded it and stuffed it in my pocket before bedtime. And it explained, because I won't let him just play video games all day, so I'm a bad mom. But, for him, this is huge. It's the first time that he's encountering things like I won't let him take his phone to school. First of all, it only works on Wi-Fi. It's not a phone. It's an old phone.
My daughter has the same thing.
He can't take it to school. He can't play with it on the bus. You don't need it, my dude. And he's like, but everybody else, and we lost our shit. We lost it. But for him, this is the biggest thing that's ever happened. This feeling of not belonging. And I wonder how much of this, like, these personalities are shaped by, I guess, a lack of compassion, maybe? What am I looking for, Sam? Like,
No,
did I become an introvert because there was nowhere for me to fit in an extrovert household that made
like
any sort of sense?
Right. Is it a nature versus nurture thing, right? Like, was I born an INTJ, or did I become one because of how I dealt with the situations that I grew up with?
Right,
Well,
because I was
honestly-
surrounded by feelers that I turned to logic because the feeling was so exhausting and overwhelming.
Right.
But the thing is, we're not even the same person we were 7 years ago, like literally, like physically and emotionally. Because one, all of our bodies, every single cell in our well, every single cell in our body actually replicates every 7 years. So we're not even the same person anymore. But also emotionally, we're like, you look back at us, like we were talking in another episode how I was when I was in my 20s and watching 500 Days of Summer. And I was a totally different person back then than I am today.
Listen, I have met very unhealthy INTJs. They are the worst, by the way, and they're the worst because
pedantic and overbearing and
so arrogant. And I mean, like, I can be arrogant, but like, there's a whole other level of craziness. But damn, like, INTJs are the worst when they are not healthy. Like, do your work. Do the work.
I mean, you can also, like, go into turbulent versus assertive if you really want to get into it. Like, you can do ESFJ turbulent versus ESFJ assertive. And so you can get into all these different stacks that, like, define who you are and how you're functioning now. And some of it's a sign of maturity, and some of it's a sign of, just not having done the growth or whatever. But I mean, I feel like it's definitely not Scorpio, Gemini, Leo. This is not but maybe it is. Maybe the 70s and star signs, maybe we're going to look back at this in 20 years and be like, oh my God, you were Myers-Briggs. Of course. What were ya?
To me, you choose the answer so that you have influence over this. Whereas, like, when you're born, it is what it is. Like,
well, also those what you call shoot, I can't think of it right now. I'm so sorry. But when you look at those horoscopes, when you look at the horoscopes, they're very vague and generic anyway, So if you look at it, you can actually be like, oh, I can kind of fit into that personality trait because they're just so worded so generically.
Oh, it's what I'm going to do for my second career. I'm just going to write horoscopes.
I'm going to have AI do it, Stacey. We can have AI do the horoscopes. It'll be fine.
I like it.
So I guess we'll shift over to Enneagram real quick. I don't know as much, I would say, about Enneagram as I do Myers-Briggs in terms of the background. I can say that it's a wheel from 1 to 9. Each one of these sections has a like a couple traits that define it. And then whatever your dominant number is, you can either go one of two ways. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys what I am. I'm a 5. And you can have a wing of 6. I can have a wing of 6 or a wing of 4. I happen to be a 5 wing 6. So yes, I am, I guess, like the thinker, like I guess it's called the investigator. And then the 6 is like, I'm community oriented, which makes complete sense, especially considering I love teaching and I care about the progression of the human condition as a whole. I don't like individual people, but the humans as a whole I'm okay with. But I don't think I know everybody's exactly. So Stacey.
I'm the opposite. I hate humanity, but I love individuals. Like, I like people.
I love individuals, but like
an individual,
that many.
Jesus, I've had a drink, y'all. People on an individual basis. I love meeting new people and getting to figure out who they are and what they're about and like where they come from and like what makes them tick. But I don't like people. I like people, groups of people, because what did it say? Men in Black were dumb, panicky animals.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
for me, it's like the social contract. Like, you know, you have to adhere to certain sets of things to like progress. Don't get me wrong. I don't like people in general. I like we've talked about this. I like a select amount of people, and then pretty much everybody else. I'm like, it is what it is. But I want to see humanity progress because I don't like being around stupid people.
Well, yeah.
I think
But-
that's fair.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know. I think it's easier to be dumb sometimes.
Yes.
Anyway, Stacey,
Yes.
what are you? You took yours?
Yes. So I am a 1 with the wing 2, which is actually pretty dang accurate.
that is pretty freaking accurate, actually.
Yeah.
And for those of you that can't read, Stacy's conscientious, perfectionist. Yep, critical, controlled, caring, generous, friendly, and warm-hearted. That is you, Stacy.
Yep, that's me.
Yeah. Now the wings, is that like the second highest one that
Yeah.
you got?
Yeah,
Okay.
it kind of influences like how you lean. Like, so for me, instead
Okay.
of being super
Lean.
creative, I'm much more like it says cautious, loyal, anxious, and alert for me.
Okay.
With the cerebral, private, curious, and detached.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm actually a 9, and I think lean 2.
Oh my
So-
god, that or lean. It's either 8 or 1. You either lean to 8 or 1. But
Okay.
9 is a very interesting one because you basically become whoever's in the room. Like that's super interesting, Chris.
Yeah.
That is so you're easygoing. Oh my god, that is so true.
So,
Yeah, it
depending
is.
on which Enneagram test you take, Sam, some of them aren't wings to the direct side of you. Some of
Right.
them are
Oh,
that you could have like a 9 with a 5, a 9 with a
Mhm.
wing 5, because that's your second most dominant, depending on where things go and
Right.
how those things come out.
Mine
So I've
showed that my
Oh.
second most dominant one was number 2.
right. So when you get results, it's going to tell you your top whatever, right? Like in order.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
your wing can only be next to each other. That's it. For me personally, actually, this makes a whole lot of sense why you're an 8, Grace, because I'm 5 is my highest, but my next highest is 8 and 1, and that makes a. What is
I
up
think
with my mic tonight?
There we go.
But yeah, my secondary ones, they're actually equal as 8 and 1.
Now, see, mine, I am an 8 with a 7, but my next highest is a 5.
That makes complete sense.
Yeah,
It does.
So
Complete sense.
I mean, and it's funny because I was rereading and I was like, oh, okay. Basic fear. They fear being 8 with a 7 wing, fear being controlled by others, dislike authority, and prefer to work alone. Their basic desires to remain in control of their own lives. They want other people to be free and are advocates for those less able. They are nonconformists and defend themselves by denying vulnerability. I mean, this is exactly why I'm in the job that I'm in, right? Advocate for others, think practically, don't want to lose autonomy, dream big. How many I mean, I've said over and over that the one thing that I cannot do, I can get older, I can't lose my autonomy. The moment that happens, I'm walking out into the snowstorm, y'all. You'll find me when the thaw hits. I will
Yep.
go back home. I'll be a grace sickle. Like we're not. But it's really interesting to me because in some ways this captures more of my overall personality because it does allow for that conflict, right? Like
Right.
I am very assertive and I am very direct, but I'm also kind of uninhibited and I will dance on the bar given the right
That is
circumstances.
so true. I mean, and number 5 is like, I mean, how many times have I said I have all the questions, or I'm like the cerebral, private. I pretty much like outside, the podcast. I'll say some things, but generally speaking, I'm very private. I'm super curious about every freaking thing, which is what keeps me up at night, guys. Like, and that it is. And then combined it with a 6. And I don't know if you guys have, Chris, I suggested this to you and Stacy, but there's an app that will tell you like who in the real world or who in TV is like you, and who's a 5W6 is Queen Gambit, Beth Harmon. And I was like, oh, yep, I totally get it.
Yeah. Yep. I can
And
see
then-
that.
And then you, of course, unfortunately, Elon Musk, but
Yeah.
gotta take it, the poison when you have to take it. Like, it is what it is.
I didn't realize, just on a completely unrelated, but this is how my brain works, kind of a level, the Tesla models are supposed to spell out sexy. Tesla S, Tesla 3, Tesla X.
Seriously?
Why?
Not
Yes, it's Elon
surprised.
Musk. That's why.
Because it's Elon Musk.
I don't like him.
No,
I really don't like
I don't know
him.
many people who do.
I just
I ran across that last night because apparently there's like this whole big thing about the Twitter sign in San Diego, and he was
Oh,
like,
I
"I'm
heard
just
about
gonna
that.
block out the W, so now it just says titter."
okay, that's
And they
fine.
were like, I don't know what else that you would expect from Elon Musk, all things considered, because he literally named the Tesla models to spell sexy, and I'm like, he did.
You know, he brought
That's-
like
that's
a
actually
toilet.
funny.
Didn't he bring like a sink or something into
A sink,
Twitter?
yes.
Oh god,
It was a sink.
Oh my god.
that is like when an INTJ goes wrong. That's Thanos right there. He snapped like a long time ago, and not even a
No,
logical way.
I wouldn't
He
even
just
compare him to
snapped.
Thanos.
Yeah, that's not even
honestly.
like Thanos
Right.
worthy.
That's not
That's more along
fair.
the lines of like, if you had a spoiled little gnomelet that was suddenly given the power to do whatever they wanted to do after living underground as a troll for 20 years. I don't know.
I mean, honestly, he makes me think of what's his face from Free Guy, Taika Waititi's character.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because
That's
he has
so
all
true.
these crazy ideas. He's like, "Do it, get it done," and then the developers are like, "What the fuck does he want me to do?" You know?
Make it happen. Oh, okay.
Hashtag
Yeah.
make it happen.
Hashtag.
Hashtag. But no. Yeah, I'm embarrassed. And, also, I'm pretty sure Mark Zuckerberg is also an INTJ. Pretty much like, and I think Bezos is in the gamut as well. Grace, we're in great company. Great.
I mean, we do get stuff done. We do. We
Not
get stuff done. We're very logical about it, but that just means that we don't necessarily have the social skills to make it great for other people. So that makes sense. But I think that female INTJs have it a little easier
I
overall
agree.
because we're
100%.
forced to socialize and forced into that. So we at least learn how to recognize that the basic level of respect and decency for other people. Whereas male INTJs, like, the ruthlessness is celebrated. You don't have
Right.
to learn how to do that because you're just a weird dude. And these are all weird dudes that probably didn't get laid when they were in college, and they were super smart, and now they get laid all the time. So
So true. And we
What
talked about the function stacks. Like, you develop that, the third down, for those of you that are going to get into the function stacks, the third one down is like the one you develop in your 30s. And if you choose not to, you're going to be real interested in your 40s. So I think Grace and I probably worked on that introverted feeling at some point and like got our shit together. Whereas I feel like men don't feel like they have to get that introverted feeling together. And then that's what you get, some crazy thing like Elon Musk. And it is what it is.
Well, I think, something to address with this, and Grace kind of touched on it a little bit, is, it's looked at differently, the way women approach things to the way men approach things. So like, a female manager who's managing people can commonly be referred to as a bitch for literally doing the job. Like, you're not actually being a bitch, but for a guy or a man, they're praised for doing whatever.
They're assertive. They're strong leaders.
Yeah,
it's that
but a
double
woman's
standard.
a bitch. Like, why is that? It's not. It's the same thing. It's not one or the other. Like, that's not fair.
Because I've often been in positions of leadership, not because I necessarily want to be, because I am perfectly happy to be a member of the pack as long as the leader of the pack is doing their job. When the leader stops leading well, then I'm like, you know what? Move. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, but I guess I'm going to go do this.
I'll do it. If I
Fine,
done, I'll figure it out.
Fine.
Right.
But so I've often ended up in that role, and I'm frequently reminded that I don't fit that. Like, I'm not kind, and I mean, I'm not nice. I am kind, but I'm not nice, and I'm not typically, stereotypically nurturing. And I'm not like, oh, let's sit down and talk about your feelings and how was your day. I'm like, here's the thing that needs to be done. I'm very sorry you've had a bad day. Let's talk about it, and then let's figure out if you can do the job or if you cannot do the job. And if you cannot, please go home for the day, and let's figure it out tomorrow. But I've been called aggressive, which is not assertive.
I have a book that literally is like how to be assertive without being aggressive.
I don't feel like that's aggressive or
right.
negative there. It's okay to have expectations, for people doing their job, or it should be okay to have expectations. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have to hold their hand. You shouldn't have to anyway.
My mom called me this weekend. She called me Formidable and intimidating.
All right.
I've had students call me terrifying, but then like later in the year, they're like, "You're really cool, but you were terrifying." Like the 1st couple months.
Yeah, like,
Yep.
I'm fine with being formidable and intimidating, but I am not intimidating. I am structured. If you're intimidated, we should talk about that and figure out why you're intimidated, because it is not me. This is me all the time. I'm not doing this for other people to feel bad.
Right.
But because the INTJ traits are typically more masculine traits, or like the 8, the self-assured, assertive, decisive, direct. Oh my God, heaven forbid you be a woman and want to utilize direct communication. Please just tell me the thing.
Yes.
Tell me the thing that you want. Tell me the thing that you need. Tell me what you need me to do to achieve it, and leave me to it. I got it.
And you know what's crazy is people, because I'm very direct in my communication. Like I'm very direct about, and I'm not effing around. Like I know exactly how I feel. I'm telling you exactly how I feel. It's not like a guess game. Like I promise. And I feel like people think sometimes I'm like, it's not a guess game. I'm telling you exactly. Like exactly what
And
is
there's
going
no
on here.
code here. There's no like.
you
don't
do not need to suss it out.
You don't need
Right.
to intercept the hawk to try and figure out what the code is or anything.
Right,
No.
exactly.
Yeah, nobody
No,
has time for those games.
This
Like
is
it's-
from A to
it's-
B.
It's
all
not
right?
a cryptogram. You don't need to use the Da Vinci thing to decode it. You don't need to use the little spinny
We
thing
don't need to
figure
get
out
someone who
what
knows Navajo to
I
figure
mean
this out.
what I say, like legit. Like it actually says, which is really funny, Grace. It says in that INTJ one, it says if they say they're going to do something, they do it. Like
you know
good or
what's
bad,
funny
guys. Good or bad.
when
good or bad, right? And I'll tell you if I'm going to do something crazy. Like I'm not going to lie. Chris, by the way, I had to look up to see like who is like you. You know who is like you that makes me really excited?
I was actually looking at a lot of them right now. And
like
there's a lot.
Mirabelle, from Encanto.
Oh yeah.
Aw,
I
I love
Aw.
don't know.
And
Yeah, but there's-
Anna.
And Anna.
Anna's
Yeah,
on
yeah, I
ENFP
guess
too.
so. Yeah, true. There's also, as far as like real people go, there's like Pedro Pascal, Daniel Radcliffe, Robin Williams,
Huh.
Seth
Well, he's-
Rogen, apparently, Aquafina.
Aquafina.
AWK.
Yeah, Jim Carrey.
AWK.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And Stace, you're in good company as well. I've looked
I
up
am.
INFJs for sure. You're in great company. Grace and I were just, I think half of it's great and half of it's scary as hell.
You know what's
It's
funny
appropriate.
though? So, Justin and I met at a job that we both formerly worked at. And when he first started there, the first thing they told him was, "Man, stay away from her. She's a bitch." Like, that's literally the first thing someone told him about me. And
you're like the
funny.
farthest from a bitch in the workplace as possible.
Yeah, like I
You get
really
shit done.
Are you
I
sure he
wasn't
wasn't
as
just like
direct-
trying to get you all by yourself so that he can swoop
No.
in?
Multiple people told him this. That's the funny part. Multiple people. And I was not as mean then as I am now. But I mean, the reason I got this reputation was because I protected my staff. Like my, the people that worked for me, that was my people. And so I would get mad when they would pick on my people for no reason because, my staff was like the entry level employees. So everybody picked on them and I was not having it. Like, so I was literally doing my job and got the rep for being the bitch in the workplace.
Assertive.
Mhm.
Assertive.
Yeah. I was
Protective.
doing my job. It was that simple.
I really, for real, do have a book about not being aggressive and being assertive, like in my collection of books. So there you go. Chris, and obviously, I think of all of us, Chris is like the nice, like truly nice person of us.
Yeah.
Stacey,
Am I kind though?
You are.
you're kind and nice. Like you're
Okay.
both.
Mhm.
Grace and I are one. Stacey, I think. Stacey, you're both, but like limited on the nice side.
Yeah, because I have expectations and
Right,
like
right.
that is huge. It sometimes comes before the nice. And I try, like I'm aware of that. So I try to check myself on that. Because it can be like, well, this is not perfect. Why is it not perfect?
Mhm.
That's just the me.
Yeah, I get that. So guys, if if you're interested in taking any of these quizzes, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in Facebook group. We can direct you to where to take these tests, and we'd like to hear what you are, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, as you
And
can
if
see,
agree with
they're
it, if you don't,
yeah, absolutely. And as you can see, they're a lot of fun. You can really pick them apart as much as you want, and then you can actually go out and look up like what anime characters best relate to you. It's awesome.
It's so true. There's a
Oh my
whole
God,
bunch
and
of
we're back
anime.
to that. And we're back to that.
And we're back.
Just in case you forgot that Chris likes anime.
And when
Yeah.
when your grandchildren look at this and we're like, "Were you a part of that?" And you're like, "Yeah, I got into it in the early 2020s as it was kind of phasing out, but it was still cool, kind of like the age of Aquarius." And
That's a good song.
yeah, it's it's
Bottom.
but I mean, it is a lot of fun, and really for introspection, it gives you some room to really think about: is this who you are? How do these things line up? Because a lot of it really is spot on in how you function and how you date and how you work, and if you have the people in your life that you just are seemingly diametrically opposed. Like for me, I'm a thinker, right? Like I like to dig into it and pull it apart and figure it out. And that has helped me to understand how to better function with other people in my life,
Absolutely.
like the ESFPs, that I'm like, why? Why are you like this? What is wrong with you? And
But
it
if I
turns
know
out
how
there's
to-
nothing wrong. I just need to figure out how to adapt to manage it until my battery goes dead.
And then I just know that I need to take some self-care time.
Retreat.
Yes.
Retreat.
There you
So
go.
I mean, it's a tool. It's like anything else. It's a tool. If you're going to hang your hat on it and say that this is how you're going to hire staff or how you're going to select your dating partners or how you're going to choose your friendships, it is not that.
It is
Basically,
not,
we're
no.
like into Ouija
Yeah.
boards and astrology and Venus ascendant and shit. But it is a lot of fun, and it can do a lot for you to learn who you are and how to kind of better manage in a more thoughtful way. It's like a tarot deck instead. It just guides you into the directions that you want to go. So
But
give it a
but
whirl.
it's
Let's see what you
yeah,
come
but
up
it's
with.
definitely not like a sorting hat, like you were saying. It's not like you should only associate with these people or those people.
Excuse me, I'm a Ravenclaw and all just messing.
Hey.
Oh my God, my kid sorted into Slytherin.
Are you a Slytherin?
I'm a Ravenclaw. Speaking
You're
of
a
labels,
raised good kid.
Can you guess what I am?
You're a Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
Just already, you could
Hufflepuff
not
all
be.
the way.
Stacey, you're either a Ravenclaw or a Gryffindor. You're one of those two.
Ravenclaw.
Yeah, sounds about. Oh yeah, I knew this because you have a cup.
again.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Chris.
So a lone badger hanging around with a bunch of ravens.
Fitting.
Sorry.
Listen,
I
this
love
mirror
it.
is the shiz, by the way. Like,
Awesome.
it might actually be my top 3.
Make sure to
Ooh.
put it in our Untapped app, all right?
I will 100% do it. It actually, remember how the last one tastes like bourbon and chocolate? This one actually, like,
Yeah.
I can taste the marshmallows, I can taste the graham crackers. It's awesome.
That's
That's
awesome.
All right.
worrisome. All right, so let us know. Let us know what
Please.
Harry Potter house are you? What's your sun sign? Do you know your moon sign or your rising sign? Take the
What blood
personality
type you
test.
are?
We'll take
Yeah.
the social security number as well.
Right, and that number on the back of your credit card. But
Yes,
they're
please.
all equally important for how you function as a person.
And how
Also,
we
I need to-
function as
yeah.
as a podcast.
I need a new air conditioning unit, guys. I need 10
Oh,
grand.
Jesus.
So send
Oh,
me
no.
that send me that CVV
You should just buy a new house.
in
You should
Deland.
just buy a new house and delay it.
Yeah.
Lord.
All
Anyway,
right.
so just let us know. I'm actually very curious to see where you guys stand with it. But
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for joining in with us. We missed y'all. We missed each other. It's good to be back, and hopefully, we're going to be getting a little more stable in the next few weeks, so that we can start posting a bit more regularly, and keep on doing these live shows. These are actually pretty fun.
Yeah, this has been working for us.
It
Yeah,
has.
And we love
But
interacting with you guys. We had a lot of
Yeah.
interaction tonight, so it was nice.
absolutely. So now check us out on Facebook. We got we're starting to get a YouTube now. Anywhere you get your podcasts, we'll be right there for you. Stay besotted, my friends. We love you guys.